Welcome back to another episode, everyone. Thanks for joining me again. Today we're working on the city finally, so we're actually moving in and putting in all of our big buildings and getting this part out of the way. I actually find building the city the most difficult part, which is a little bit weird because most people really enjoy building the high rises. For me, I really like working on the smaller suburbs and the smaller towns, but I want it to be coming from the city, so I usually try to get this part out of the way first. I still enjoy it, of course, but not as much as the surrounding suburbs. But yeah, we will be working on the CBD area, so we'll be going through all of the big buildings and seeing which ones we want to have in our skyline. And we are also going to be just trying to fill out as much space as we can and get an idea of how big we want it to actually be. I think a couple episodes ago I did mention, like, I kind of showed you how big I want it to be, but we don't really actually get that big. It was going to go over that main highway just a little bit, but I've decided not to. After adding in all the buildings, you'll see I just keep it on this main side where the water is. I feel like that is going to be big enough. And you will see I have been creating a few extra tram lines as well. So what I have just built is one of the tram lines which is going to go into the main park area. This is not going to have any vehicle traffic. It's just going to be just a tram line, so only the tram will go through, and pedestrians can use it as a path as well. So that path is just simply for that. I thought it might be a bit better than having cars driving through a big main park. But yeah, just working on some of the weird clipping that's happening under the bridge there. It's always a little bit awkward making that work. There's always some weird blue hole to nowhere with these maps, but yeah, figured out a way, just building a little stone wall, which I think looks quite nice anyway. And yeah, there's a lot of intersection work in this episode as well, just because we have got a lot of main roads coming together. So thank God for these mods here, we can make it look a lot more realistic. So it's something I really enjoy doing. I don't feel like it's that realistic yet for me. I've really got to try, and I'm trying to take a lot of inspiration from like real life roads of where I am in Sydney and trying to look at how it kind of all works. So some of them I think look great, like the one I'm working on now I think ends up looking amazing. One of the other ones, I'll probably go back and fix it up. It really does make such a big difference, but it just makes the road look a lot more convincing, and it's just great. So with this staircase, I do have a little trouble with it. I just put it down first of all as a prop, which is what it is, but I noticed it just kept floating up, which I've also had some issues with some of the boulders that I've been using as well, so some of the big rocks. I place them down, when I come back to the map like a day later, they're just floating up in the air. I just can't figure out how to keep them down, so with the staircase I decided I'll just turn it into a PO, so that will keep it in place and it won't be a prop anymore. So I might have to do that with some of the boulders when we get back around to that part. But yeah, that was a really weird and frustrating thing to do. If anyone knows why that happens with some props, it would be really great to comment below and just let me know why, because yeah, sometimes I just forget and then later on I go in the city and there's just something like halfway up in the air, so. Yeah, placing a lot of decals around in this area, just trying to make sure it all looks like it runs smoothly and it's all built together. I found this one, which isn't actually the decal for the tram line, but it pretty much looks exactly the same anyway, so I thought that worked really well. But yeah, just trying to draw out some roads and figure out how far I want the CBD to go out, and just leveling it out. I do want the key area to be a few steps below the main city, so it does go down to the waterfront, so the city will be raised up just a tiny bit, which you can see here from the terrain level. So just leveling it all out. The park is going to be a little bit sloped, which will be under the bridge. Not working on that one today, but just ended up having the tramline run through just to give myself a bit of an idea of where that's going to go. That little street that I am working on at the moment, that actually, well, the second half of the episode I'll be working on just a little Victorian terrace street. I thought looked really nice. There is a lot of old terraces that are still around in Sydney. A lot of them have just been demolished, but there are a few streets that have them, which just look so nice. So they're really old buildings, but they're kept really well. They're kind of a bit of a tourist location now, I guess. A lot of Insta hotspots. Yeah, I don't really go check them out as much, but I do look at them on Google Maps because that's the person I am. But yeah, I definitely do work on a street that looks amazing. I think it looks so nice. But yeah, what we're working on right now is just plopping all the big Sydney buildings that I found in the workshop. Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, they're the main ones that I've found, so there's a bit of a mixture there. Most of them are from Sydney, and then a few American ones as well that I thought could be pulled off as a Sydney style building. So I've just popped them all down, and now I'm just reshuffling through on the map and seeing what's going to work, seeing them, how they're all going to be placed, and just, yeah, see how far I want to go out, because as I said, I just want it to be in this one area with all the high rises. I do colour a few buildings because they, maybe some of them just don't have the right textures. They just look a little bit, they don't look so great compared to some of the other ones, which look really amazing close up. So I just didn't want to have any cinematic shots going through. One of them just became, you know, made of 2 pixels. So I have gotten rid of a few there. But yeah, that's pretty much what we'll be doing at this point, just putting all the big buildings down. You're seeing me do now. I didn't film me doing the filler buildings, so just filling out all the blank spots on the map. So I just added in some slightly lower buildings just to kind of fill out the space. We will go through in probably the next episode, where I will be actually detailing them and defining what streets will be what, and doing a bit more, you know, we'll be doing like a shopping district, we'll be doing like a small Chinatown area, and maybe just like a basic like not residential, a office district as well. So there will be more detail added, not as much as you might think, but just enough to give it a bit of personality, I guess. But we do work on a little bit of pretty much where this main road goes in under the bridge. That's where we will be detailing today. So it's just along that main road, and just adding in that little terrace street, as I said before. It is just one street that I do of the houses, just one row, but I am planning to do a couple more. These are all the parking garages that I've subscribed to, so just kind of seeing what fits in the city. I'm definitely going to have a lot of on-street parking, but we definitely will need some parking garages to kind of hide all the rest of the other cars. So that small one works really well. Tucks in nice next to that highway. The other ones are pretty damn big. I wish there was some that didn't have the parking on the top, so I could actually just add in like a taller building on the top and make it look like it all is one building, but I'm yet to figure out a way to do that. Maybe I'll use PO or something. So the best way to detail a lot of the awkward parts of the city, I find, is just placing a lot of planters everywhere. There's lots of nice trees. In Sydney there's just gardens and big trees everywhere, but especially in City's Skylines there's so many weird little clipping things that can happen where the terrain is just comes up really high, a few levels higher than the ground, and I can't find a way to get it down. So it just, you know, if you place down the pavement, that kind of hides it, but then I just add a few big trees and planters and it kind of tucks it out of the way. This is one of the intersections I had a little bit of trouble with, and just the one in front of it as well, just with the lines crossing over onto the... So if you're coming from the highway onto the main road, that's where I have trouble working with, is just figuring out where those lines cross over, because I didn't want to add too many lines, but you know, I'll probably go back in every now and again and just fix it up when I see something in real life and I'm like, oh, that's how it looks. So that's pretty much what's going to happen. Sorry if you can hear my cat meowing in the background as well. I've got two really noisy cats. They don't know how to be quiet, so if you hear that every now and again, that's what's going on. So I have added like a main tram line that runs through the CBD, and there's I think another smaller one, but the trams that I'm using, they are very Sydney-esque. I was thinking of doing some really nice old ones, but I don't know, I think maybe I'll just stick to the Sydney ones. They're quite new and modern looking. I don't really like them, but it does give off the Sydney vibe a bit more, and they are red and white as well, so you know, that's what I've actually done. But yeah, just going through, fixing up some of the streets. A lot of them were just 2 lanes, so I realized, oh god, I have to actually make a lot of them 4 lanes because there's going to be so much traffic. I'll probably fix them up again later on once I press play and see how much traffic actually comes through. So, you know, that's not all set in stone. Here we're working with this awkward wall. Again, with the cliff face, it's gone a little bit strange once I've raised the terrain. I wanted this street to be higher up. This is where the little terrace houses are going to be. This is pretty common in Sydney. There's a lot of little streets that are just randomly a lot higher up. There's heaps of sandstone that Sydney's built on, so there's just a lot that's been chiseled away, and yeah, tiny little residential streets that just look really nice. So that's kind of what the inspiration is for this street here. I did have a bit of trouble making this look decent. I added in that network where it's just a stone wall with the grass surface on the top, which I thought was great because it just hid all that weird cliff part below. And I wanted to have that as like a little car park for the houses, so I did start off by doing little parking decals on the top, but it doesn't recognize it as a surface, so all the cars just completely disappeared when they parked on it. So I didn't film that part, but I thought I'd let you know it didn't work out as planned, so I ended up just doing like a garden on the top, which looks better anyway. A lot of moving the networks around, making sure that the clipping doesn't look so horrible, and going through a lot of the really nice old buildings we've got and seeing what is going to work up here. I always knew that I was going to place those terrace houses along here somewhere, but these really nice old, these are a UK asset, these ones, these stone houses. I think they're so nice, and they are very Sydney as well, so I placed a few of those down. They're going to be acting as houses, so just old houses there, but here are the terrace ones that are so cool. I do give them a little backyard as well. I detail a lot of the front yards, not so much the backyards, just because you won't be seeing too much of that, but everyone hangs out on the front yard when you have one of those houses. They're so cute. The balconies are really nice, but yeah, you'll see me doing a lot of detail with those a bit later on. Unfortunately, these steps, I can't make anyone walk up them. They are just like a prop, because that's something that you see in Sydney all the time, as I said, with the weird high-rise, the little streets that go high up, there's just these big old staircases. But yeah, in the game I can't get anyone to walk up them, so they're just there for aesthetic purposes, which is fine by me, but it would be nice to see people walking up them. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going through and fixing up all the little awkward parts around, just adding in some planters, some gardens, adding in all the fences, so putting in some really old iron ones here, which I think are so cool. I really like those. They look real old school, just to kind of make this wall section a bit separate as well, because I guess you don't really want anyone hanging out in that part because it's a pretty big drop off. But yeah, so this is pretty much the main street that I detail in this episode, so we will definitely move on into the city with the other ones. So I guess the plan is for the next episode, working on as I place the Centrepoint Tower down there, that's where one of our massive shopping centers is in the city, so I will be using that as that. So I'll be doing like a little walk street area, so just a pedestrian street full of all the shopping, where I've got some really fancy shops, you know, like Gucci and Versace and stuff, so that'll be the shopping district along there. Chinatown, so I'll definitely do a Chinatown as well. If you can think of anything else that I should do, let me know, because yeah, it'd be good to get some other ideas of what I should do in the city, because that's pretty much all I've got so far. The rest is going to be quite generic. But you might see every now and again that I have actually built I kind of redid the key area, and I have got a Opera House asset that I am going to use. It is so nice. So we're definitely going to be placing down the Opera House. I have made a whole area just for that. Yeah, because that wasn't in the last episode, so all of a sudden there's just this really big area, so I've just designated it for that, because yeah, you can't have Sydney without that asset. Adding in all these trees and the gardens, it just brings the city to life so much more, just making it look a lot more realistic, getting to cover up all those really awkward spots with these massive trees. Those big ash trees that are there in the corner, they hide everything so well. And then I do use a lot of these pavement decals as well, just to hide the weird clipping as well. And these timber railings, so I do use them a lot, and they're everywhere in Sydney. I've got some white ones as well, which are everywhere around the beaches and soccer fields that we've got. So yeah, that's a type of fence that you'll see quite a lot. But yeah, we're pretty much done. This has been the episode today, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you've got any suggestions for some future episodes or something you'd like to see. And don't forget to subscribe. I do release an episode once a week, and I also have an Instagram page as well, just to keep you updated on things. But yeah, really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.